Yeah, so the goal is to see if we can determine if there is what we call a funding soulmate. This is a person who needs you more than you need them. They have the money, but they're like baking a cake, and you're the ingredient that they don't have in order to finish the recipe. And hopefully, there's no one else who can be that same ingredient in the recipe. So they not only have the funding, but they need you in order to fulfill their mission, their goal. And if you can identify this situation, which occurs more often than most people would think, then it's not a matter of pitching; it's a matter of placing an order, so you get the money in hand.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Someone that I'm looking forward to chatting with, Karl Dakin, who is a capital coach that supports fundraising for startups, community projects, charities, and government programs. So excited to have you on the show today, Karl.
Thank you, Michelle. Happy to be a guest.
Of course, I think our listeners are really going to take something away from all your knowledge and experience of raising funding for all sorts of opportunities.
Yeah, happy to share. As we had discussed earlier, I worked for over 4.5 decades on raising funding. I haven't done it all yet because every day offers an opportunity to do something new and different, but I have covered a lot of the bases over that time period.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for those that are not familiar with you and your world yet, can you share what your main focus is right now?
I work with a lot of different projects that are seeking funding, and currently there's a lot of chaos in the capital industry. So we often have to approach this outside of institutional money or outside of standard common funding schemes. A major project I'm trying to advance is a bit of an economic development project in a city where we would establish an AI, artificial intelligence, and the arts innovation hub, which would have as its core a data processing center with its own power. And this would act as an economic development engine projected to create over 500 new jobs. And in its optimal state, it would revitalize almost a square mile of a downtown community that's been sitting pretty much idle and stagnant for many, many years, and bring more life and vitality to the downtown area.
Awesome. And are you working on these projects in a specific market or is this nationwide?
My current clients are worldwide. I mentor entrepreneurs from Africa to Europe to Southeast Asia. But most of my projects are in the United States, where I have a better idea of what I'm doing and not so
Yeah.
much guessing. And from there, the projects run a range of real estate, included from sports complexes. It's a big issue on my table today, where we're trying to advance youth sports. We're trying to decrease the cost of youth participation in sports. And that requires upgrading, updating existing sports facilities or creating new sports facilities where, again, we're looking for a multi-revenue way of paying for everything so that it's not a taxpayer burden. It's can be funded with private equity or other types of funding.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Awesome. So, how did you get started on becoming so knowledgeable and helping people with all these funds?
It's partly, I think, genetic. I was raised in an entrepreneurial family. I grew up in eastern Kansas where we had a farm and we had the local Chevy dealership and farm equipment dealership. And we were always engaging and looking at new and different things. And I actually started my first business at the age of 7 without my parents' knowledge because I was attending a rural schoolhouse. And I realized that when my parents kept dragging me into town on weekends for music lessons, for which I had no talent at all, that I could walk up to the local drugstore, buy candy, and sell it at a markup at my school. And that worked great for a couple months before the other parents decided that was a bad idea.
Amazing. I love the entrepreneurial spirit.
But yeah, so from there, basically escaped from the farm, went to school, got an undergrad in business, accounting finance, and then a law degree, and then jumped from Kansas to Colorado, where I now live, and immediately started working with state-of-the-art technology projects with computers and software at the very entry into the computer age in the late 70s and early 80s.
Awesome. And like, how did you start the funding?
Every project I got involved with required funding. Anything that's new under the sun ordinarily doesn't have immediate cash setting aside to start and operate the project to a point of break even or profitability. So you're always short of money. And the joke on me was every time we drew straws to see who was going to have to raise the money, I tended to get the short straw and was the point person for figuring out how to present an opportunity for funding, what would be a workable, viable business model to underlie that. And over time, that advanced to the point where I started developing my own methods and techniques. The banner behind me, Motivated Money, is my approach where we try to find those investor candidates who are most likely to invest. And this is done by an analysis of the benefits that they would derive from a particular business, which may or may not involve ordinary investment. And from there, quantifying, qualifying how great that benefit is so we could find that person who's already pre-inclined, predestined to give us money if we can tell them the story correctly with the right offering.
Yeah, that's exciting. What does that look like in terms of telling people the right story? Is there a certain like strategy or yeah, expand on that?
Yeah, so the goal is to see if we can determine if there is what we call a funding soulmate. This is a person who needs you more than you need them. They have the money, but they're like baking a cake, and you're the ingredient that they don't have in order to finish the recipe. And hopefully, there's no one else who can be that same ingredient in the recipe. So they not only have the funding, but they need you in order to fulfill their mission, their goal. And if you can identify this situation, which occurs more often than most people would think, then it's not a matter of pitching; it's a matter of placing an order, so you get the money in hand. But you always start the conversation by knowing who your investment candidate is, And the first sentence is, I've got something that might be of help to you. I think it can help you in what you're trying to accomplish, whether it's a charitable project or a business project.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
And here's how I think it can help. And if we come to an agreement that it is helpful, then we disclose to them that we may not be as helpful as we'd like to be because we lack funding. And if they can put some funding in our hands, then we can all work together towards mutual outcomes.
Yeah, that's an incredible opportunity that you're offering.
Yeah, so it's common to everything. It really is culture wide, meaning it would be the same approach you would use in the Democratic Republic of the Congo or Europe or Australia, U.S. Everybody who has money has so many competing interests, and it's one of the few things that people don't fully understand sometimes. But it's it's almost like a lottery sometimes where you're going like, yeah, I've got a qualified proposal, but I'm one of 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 people all looking for the same thing. And it's not just businesses that are competing for the money. It's anything. It can be the spouse, it can be the kids, it can be the church or a community project, all saying we need money, which they do. And the person who's holding the money has to make a decision, and you have to figure out how to be head and shoulders above that competition by offering that person something they really want and need. It can't just be left to a discretionary choice because there's too many reasons why you may not be the one that's selected.
Right. And how does this correspond to real estate? Are there certain like real estate projects that you're working with or real estate investors that you're working with?
The In the Plus Arts project, we're working with both private real estate developers who are looking to make a buck by taking an old building and restoring it. They are leveraging then in turn economic development money in the form of urban redevelopment authority, local bond money, things like that to help cover the cost to bring the building to a point where it's now usable again and it can start generating a profit. There are about 8 other types of funding that we're looking at to both increase the yield or ROI to the investor while we're also trying to be cognizant of what impact are we having on the community so that any upside is not offset by some significant downside, which can happen quite often in a project. We're looking at a proposal to build brand new sports complex as we define it, which is again broader because we wanted to bring in wellness for the community and youth programs so that the community is getting multiple benefits and not a singular benefit or what we would call a bad investment in a stadium that's a single purpose use, which can't generate enough money to pay for the cost. And there, we're looking at some raw land owned by the city. They're looking to increase their revenue to make a destination that would bring people into town to create even more revenue of different types of taxation. And so at its core, it's all economic development centered. But at some point, then we want to bring in the people who can actually be the lead developer or a component part of the different elements of this. We would be looking at property managers, construction, all the infrastructure. Our current trend is towards what we call smart city design, which incorporates the infrastructure as below the ground, as we call it, as well as the buildings above the ground within a singular economic unit. And this allows us to not worry about having to hook in.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
To the local utility or get permission from other people that may or may not agree with what we're trying to do. It gives us more autonomy and more freedom, and it speeds the process. As anyone in real estate knows, the biggest risk, particularly in pre-development, is before you get all your permits and everything in line, which can kill you after you've been working for months or years to line a project up, only to find out that you can't even get to the starting line because somebody objects for reasons that may or may not be viable.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. What are you most focused on solving or scaling to next in your business?
We're trying to deal with issues in the capital industry right now to free up money for projects that are standing idle or need one more piece of money in order to move forward. The capital industry is a bit of a mess at the moment. A lot of money was invested into real estate, particularly commercial buildings that now are valued lower than the original projection, or they were financed in a way where they were dependent upon low interest money in order for their business model to work. And now these are called upside down or zombie projects that need to be fixed. And in some cases, there's going to be some broken eggs, as we call it, where the businesses are going to fail and the private equity firms may have to take a loss simply to move it forward. But because they're not exiting from their investments in the way they had planned, there's no money to roll over into new investments. So we're seeing a downward spiral within the capital industries. There's less and less money coming available for projects to start from scratch. So in some ways, we need to be a doctor and heal or cure as much as possible. And if not, then we need to do triage and have certain projects declared dead and move forward and take a bankruptcy or whatever it needs to be. But that money is sitting stagnant at the moment. And my goal is to free it up to move it into new projects so we can keep moving.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how does it work to accomplish that goal to free up that money?
In some cases, we have found that we can repurpose the project, meaning that if it were a single use like a stadium, if we were to surround it with a hotel, with practice fields, maybe innovation centers, other economic development projects, we can bring new revenue to the project to give it greater vitality than was under the original plan. In some cases, we can work with the city to do a municipal or industry bond that would allow us to refinance a portion of the private debt. This may be an improvement actually in reducing the cost of money to the project, or it may be a little bit of stretching the money over a longer period of time in order to gain an ability to pay it back or achieve break even at a lower threshold. So it's you got to go deep into the bag of tricks looking for some of these solutions to see what can be done. But everybody's aware of real estate projects where they went belly up, and they're still dead decades later. And there's golf course projects, other projects I'm aware of where you just kind of looks like a ghost town because it went upside down in the middle of the project and they never got to revenue.
Yeah, that makes sense. What are some of the creative solutions that you come across on your financing journey?
One of the things I'm working on now that I think is there was a couple of things tied together. One is called a community investment fund. And this is a business model that's being advanced by the National Coalition of Community Capital that allows for local investment in local projects to advance the economy and enrich there. And this model, in order to avoid being caught up in securities laws under the Investment Company Act, calls for 60% of the money in the fund to be invested into real estate. So it serves as a platform or a basis around which, and then you have the freedom to invest the other 40% into local businesses. So I'm working on a model that will be kind of a template for different themed or geographic areas that starts with this community investment fund, but then combines it with either opportunity zone funding or other types of funding to as seed capital. And then I'm also pairing this with the ability to raise money through investment crowdfunding under Reg CF and Reg A plus crowdfunding, everyone can invest. It's not limited just to accredited investors. And quite often, part of the problem with a project is people who live in a community get upset that the rich get richer and they don't have an opportunity to invest. And by creating a fund and structuring it correctly and then conducting the right capital campaign, it gives everybody a chance to have a bit of equity in the project going into their community. And they move from what we call stakeholders to stockholders. And this changes the dynamic, the basically the acceptance level within the community. Because if we're building that new sports complex and only rich people own it, it causes hostility out of the gate. But if everyone who's got $100 can have a share of ownership in that stadium, everything's different.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds like an awesome opportunity for everyone to get involved.
Yeah, it's something that also can play into workforce housing, which is another area that I'm working with, trying to figure out how do you take a person who's brand new, unskilled, and still get them to a position where they can buy a house with their first job instead of waiting forever to try to do that and basically not allowed to engage in wealth building. So we are looking at a combination of investment crowdfunding along with employer participation, where the employers may use their credit history, their credit worthiness to start a project where we would put up the housing. Employees would work for the employer for a period of time while renting the same housing. And then after a period of time, 3, 4, or 5 years, we do a flip that puts the employee in an ownership position with the assistance of the employer, and everybody wins because we get started because the local school has credit rating, which the first time employee with no skills has no credit rating. And so we're working on a variety of ways to do that. We're also looking at what we call private REITs, where you create a business over the top of a building, and then the tenants have an opportunity with every monthly rental check to also, through crowdfunding, invest into the ownership of the building, which separates this out so they're not just rental tenants. And this is true for so many types of things, artists and different things where everybody goes, they never have a chance to build wealth. And as a consequence, then they are highly mobile, as we call it. They can leave town in a hurry anytime they get a better job. We want them to put down roots. We want them to think as being part of the community, to participate in community projects, which they tend not to do when they don't know where they're going to be living next week.
Yeah, what a beautiful incentive. So, before we wrap up here, if somebody wants to reach out, connect, learn more, where can people find you and connect with you?
I would invite people to go to my website, dakincapital.com. I also share information on raising funding on LinkedIn through my own podcast called Successful Funding and my more optimistic newsletter called Instant Funding. And also, I would point out that on my website, I have an AI avatar that I've helped co-produce that can answer questions about funding 24/7. So while I'm sleeping, it can still be working, maybe to give you some answers to questions about funding. It's called CAP for capital, and it's on my webpage and available for anyone to use.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate your time, your story, and your perspective. Thank you for being here.
you, Michelle. Thanks for the opportunity to share, and hopefully some of the information today can help somebody get a project started or funded that they're a little challenged with at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And for those listeners tuning into the show, if you got value, make sure you've subscribed. We've got more conversations with operators like Karl who are building real businesses. We'll see you on our next episode.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.